Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Crosswind Kids Online. We're so glad that you're here with us again. Why don't you stand to your feet as we sing some songs together this morning.
In my wrestling, in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and see. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore.
If there's one thing we can count on, it's that God will never let us down, and we can trust everything He does. He keeps His promises, we know, because the word of the Lord holds true. We can trust Him, we can trust Him. The word of the Lord holds true. We can trust Him, we can trust Him. If there's one thing we can count on, it's that God will never let us down, and we can trust everything He does. He keeps His promises, we know, because the word of the Lord holds true. We can trust Him, we can trust Him. The word of the Lord holds true. We can trust Him, we can trust Him. The word of the Lord holds true. We can trust Him, we can trust Him. The word of the Lord holds true. We can trust Him, we can trust Him. We can trust Him, we can trust Him.
In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. control. And in the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Crosswind Kids. My name is Miss Heather, and before we get started, I wanted to wish our friend Emily a great big happy birthday today. We hope your day is super fantastic. Today, we're continuing the series, I'm in Trouble. We're learning some important ways that we can handle the trouble that comes our way. Have you ever had really awesome plans to go somewhere and do something fun outside? You'd been planning it for days or weeks or months, and it was going to be epic. Maybe you were going to a really fun park or swimming at the pool or to an amusement park or somewhere fun on vacation. Then, all of a sudden, just when you were getting ready for your super awesome day, it started to pour down rain outside. Before you knew it, it was a huge storm. And all of a sudden, your awesome epic plans are now ruined. Has that ever happened to you? Well, today we're learning about a big storm that happened to a man named Noah in the Bible. More importantly, we're learning about how God used Noah and protected him during that storm. Let's get ready to learn all about how God shelters us in the storms of life by checking out this video.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Josh, and you are watching I'm in Trouble. And I'm not alone. Say hi, fellas. Hi, fellas. Just a second, I'm busy. What?
Greetings, Earthlings. Fellow humans.
In this series, we're going to be your guides through the Bible, specifically people in the Bible that were in serious trouble. And we're going to find out just what God did to get them out of trouble. Now, today's lesson is pretty cool. No one says cool anymore. They say swag. No, I'm not saying that.
You could say it was neato.
Or it's the bee's knees. What does that even mean?
You can say it's finer than a frog hair split 3 ways.
What? How about we just stick with cool? Whatever, Grandpa.
I'm a grandpa.
Anyway, today's lesson is very cool because we're talking about storms. Storms come in a lot of shapes and sizes. Have you ever seen a storm like this? Or like this one? What about this?
Or what about this one?
Hermes, I don't think it rains waffles.
Well, no, not yet it doesn't.
What does that mean?
Nothing, moving on.
I wish it would rain waffles. I bet you it does in heaven.
Anyway, today's lesson is about the biggest storm in world history. You may have heard about it before. It involves a guy named Noah. Ugh, don't tell me no. I was saying Noah. No what? This isn't fair. Gordy, I'm not telling you no. You just said it again. I know that I just said no. You said it twice.
I counted twice, 2 times.
I'm not saying the word no as in N-O. I'm saying Noah. N-O-A-H. Noah.
Sammy Sosa?
Guys, we're getting way off track. You've heard the story of Noah before.
Oh yeah, is that the guy that had the big old boat full of animals?
That's right. Noah and his family had to survive a storm that covered the entire planet. There was no escape.
Noah needed a hidey hole.
A hidey hole what?
You know a hidey hole? It's this hole you dig in the ground, you jump into when there's a tornado.
Noah needed a foxhole.
What if there's a fox in his foxhole?
It's a hole that a soldier hides in to keep him safe. I dug plenty of those back in the war.
Yeah, which war was that again?
You know which war?
Well, as great as all of that sounds, Noah didn't have any of that stuff. So what's Noah going to do? God tells Noah that this huge storm is coming and it's gonna cover the entire earth with no survivors. So what's gonna happen next? Is God just gonna leave Noah and his family out in the storm to fend for themselves? Will he find a place to hide? Do we have a place to hide during the storms of life? I'm not talking about it raining waffles. But when life gets really hard and scary, where can we go that's safe? You're gonna find out in today's lesson. Yo, Jimmy Don, does your hidey hole have Wi-Fi?
I don't know if we got Wi-Fi. I'll have to check the fridge.
Okay.
Don't go looking around that freezer. It's where I keep my waffles.
Not anymore, you don't.
Seriously?
It's so beautiful.
You guys smell breakfast? You guys enjoy the lesson.
I got syrup in my eye.
Today we're learning that it isn't easy to obey God's commands. Sometimes it can be hard to trust God, to know that He is telling us something good to do. But obeying God is always worth it. When we obey Him, we get to experience all that He has for us. It is especially important to obey God in the midst of life's biggest storms. Trouble comes, but we must trust and obey Him through it all. You're going to find out more about how important obedience during the storms of life is in our lesson today. But right now, we need to find out what you gotta know.
What you gotta know. What you gotta know. What you gotta know. What you gotta know. Woo! Yeah! Hey there, boys and girls. My name is Wiggy Pop, and I'm here to have a rockin' time teaching you what you gotta know. Today, we're talking about how God can protect us even through life's very bad storms. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell them this: God will protect me in the middle of the storm. Oh no, I think a storm is coming. Ah, the rain's gonna mess up my mullet. I can't believe it's storming right now. Hold up. That little storm's not what I'm talking about. You know, sometimes life can feel like a storm. There's so much trouble all around us. But our God can shelter us even through life's worst storms. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell them this: God will protect me in the middle of the storm. That right there is what you gotta know. My name is Wiggy Pop, and I'll see you next time. Rock on!
Okay, guys, what you gotta know. God will protect me in the middle of the storm. Storms of life come in all shapes and sizes. Whether it's a tornado, a thunderstorm, or a hurricane, they're all scary and they can all cause damage. Well, life is full of storms as well. They may not be physical storms with wind and rain, but they're storms that bring trouble and difficulty, and they can be very scary. Well, today, we're learning that when we follow God and obey His commands, no matter how difficult, we will find miracles taking place in our own lives. God will shelter us in the midst of life's difficult storms. So what you gotta know? God will protect me in the middle of the storm. Today's Bible story is found in the book of Genesis chapter 6 and 7. It's the story of Noah and his family. God was so saddened by all the sin in the world, so He decided to destroy the world with a huge flood. He searched the world to find someone, anyone, who was righteous and living for Him. Well, He found a man named Noah. God spoke to Noah and said, "I'm going to destroy the earth and everything in it. So I want you to build a giant boat and take your family along with 2 of every kind of animal into the boat. When the storm comes, I will keep you safe." Noah had never seen a flood before, so he didn't know what to think. I bet he had all kinds of thoughts running in his mind, like how in the world was he going to build a boat big enough to hold 2 of every kind of animal in the world? Besides that, how is he going to get all those animals on that boat? How is he going to go around and pick and choose all those animals? All of these thoughts most likely went through Noah's mind. It was probably the hardest thing he ever had to do. But Noah obeyed God. He and his 3 sons began to gather tons of wood and built the giant boat. God gave Noah specific instructions on how to build this boat, like what size, what kind of wood, everything. It took them many, many months to chop down the trees and cut the boards and hammer them all together, and then seal all the cracks in the boat. I bet everyone who saw what Noah was doing thought he was crazy. But Noah was obedient. Finally, the day came when it was time to get the animals on the boat. Noah wasn't sure how he was going to do this, but guess what? He didn't even have to do anything. God spoke to the animals, and they began to show up. 2 by 2 they arrived. Elephants and giraffes and donkeys and bears, every kind of animal in the world. Wow. Then God said to Noah, "Take your family into the ark. In a few days, I will send a storm upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. The entire earth will be destroyed." Noah listened and took himself and his family into the ark. Now I bet people really thought he was crazy. No rain had come. No one had ever seen what a flood was. They didn't even know what that meant. And here's Noah with his family and all these animals inside this big giant boat. But just as God had promised, the rain began to fall from the sky and the earth began to flood. Noah and his family were protected because Noah was obedient to God, even when his obedience was hard. Many months later, the flood waters receded, they all went away, and the ark landed safely on top of a mountain. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to learn that when you obey God, He will shelter you in the storms of life.
Feel it in the air right now. It's all around, I see it everywhere. It's the power. Yeah, yeah, God's power. It's the power to move any star. It's the power to heal your broken heart. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. So don't hold back, no, don't hold still. God is here and He is real. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now freeze. And everybody clap your hands. Now stop. I feel it in the air right now. It's all around, I see it everywhere. It's the power. Yeah, yeah, God's power. It's the power to move any star. It's the power to heal your broken heart. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. So don't hold back, no, don't hold still. God is here and He is real. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. Let's do it all again right now. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now freeze. And everybody clap your hands. Now stop.
How many of you are afraid of storms? Storms can be pretty scary sometimes. The wind, the pouring down rain, the thunder, the lightning, tornadoes, flash floods. Well, Noah found himself getting ready for a big, huge storm. God told him He was not only going to send a big storm that would last for 40 days and nights, but he was going to allow the rain to flood the entire earth. No part of the earth would be dry. Can you imagine that? Everything that we see and, live by right now would have been underwater. No part of the earth was able to be walked on. If you were going to make it, you'd have to swim for like a month and a half, nonstop. Like no eating, nothing, just swimming for a whole month and a half. And those waters were probably pretty scary and wavy, and the wind was rushing and it was pouring down rain. Do you think it's possible to swim for that long? Probably not. Well, we could look at this story at this point and say, uh-oh, Noah is in trouble. What in the world is he going to do to survive this storm? Well, Noah was the only one on the earth who lived for God and obeyed his commands. So God provided a way for Noah and his family to stay safe during this crazy storm. In fact, it's the same for you and me when we face the storms of life. When I obey God, I find safety. We all face storms. Now, I don't mean thunderstorms with rain and lightning. We all see those, and they're just storms. It's a natural part of our earth and the weather. I mean the storms of life. Those times when things are really, really tough, when it feels like everything in life is going wrong, when someone you know and love is sick and dies, when you're struggling in school, but maybe when your parents are fighting a lot and they get a divorce, maybe when you're feeling lonely. Boys and girls, the storms of life are tough. It's easy for us to look at the storm that we're facing and say, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. What in the world am I going to do to survive this storm? It seems like there's no end to the struggles I'm facing. Well, no matter what you're facing, if you're obedient to God, if you follow his commands and put him first in your life, he will shelter you during those storms of life, no matter how tough they are. What do you do when it's storming outside? Where do you go? What do you do? If you're like me, when I was a kid, when a big storm comes, you'd run to your bed, run under the covers and put the covers over your head and just hide there and just wait and probably cry. I'm pretty sure I cried a few times, especially when the thunder would be really loud and the lightning would be really bright. It was really, really scary. Well, what do you have on your bed? Do you have a comforter? Like a blanket? Those are called comforters. Well, when you face the storms of life, you can run to God, your comforter. Not a blanket, but God is your comforter. God will comfort you and shelter you during the storms of life. He will provide safety in the middle of the scariest, biggest storms. God is our comforter, and we find shelter in his arms. Maybe you're thinking that I don't know how big your storm is. Like, I don't know how impossible things are for you right now. There's no way out of this big storm. Maybe you feel like you don't just need comfort, you need a miracle. Well, when I obey God, I experience miracles. When you face impossible storms, God can help you. Remember, Noah needed a miracle. Noah didn't have the strength to swim in a stormy ocean for 40 days and nights, let alone after the rain had stopped when the waters were still flowing. Noah didn't know how to build a big boat strong enough to last through that big storm. Noah needed a miracle. Maybe that's how you feel. Maybe you're facing the biggest storm you have ever faced. For Noah, God gave him special plans to build a massive boat and how to survive the storm. That was Noah's miracle. God protected Noah and his family and all those animals. For you, it might be that God provides you with peace during a difficult time, or maybe he brings someone into your life to help you with that storm. Maybe it's you're having a really hard time in school and God brings you someone to help you with that schoolwork. Or maybe you're feeling all alone and God brings a friend. They just call you out of nowhere, and God just kind of whispered to them, hey, call this friend. God does that, and it's amazing. Maybe your miracle is your parents finding a way to heal and stay together. Maybe your miracle is your big brother or sister or family member, aunt, uncle, grandparent, friend comes to church and they get saved. No matter what you're facing, God can provide a miracle. When we obey God, He will do miracles in our life and protect us from the storms. Also, God is my refuge and shelter from the storm. When you follow God's commands and put your trust in Him, He will shelter you from the storm. Noah obeyed God and used his plans to build that massive boat. The entire time that the world was flooded, Noah stayed safe and dry in that ark. God sheltered Noah from that storm, and He promises He will do the same for you. You just have to turn to Him and ask Him for help. Let's pray. God, I lift up anyone who's listening who may be facing a huge storm right now. I ask, God, that you draw them close to you and that you would help them, bring them somebody that they need to help them through that storm. Help them to remember that you are their comforter and that you give them a peace that is bigger than anything we could ever imagine. I ask, God, that you would make a way when there seems to be no way at all. We love you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Oh, please have a seat. Wonderful. Hold your applause. Oh, welcome back. I am the actor, and today I am going to teach you a wonderful power verse. If you want to be a great method actor like me, all you need to do is listen closely and learn the power verse. Today's power verse says, God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. Psalm 46:1. What a wonderful, fantastic power verse. Now, if there's one thing I've learned as the greatest method actor of all times, it's that the best way to memorize your lines, or the power verse in this instance, is to do it in character. So let's find out what today's character shall be. Let's see. Ah, yes, today's character is just an apple is all it says. This is my lunch menu. Acting, thank you, it's just a blank card. No, today's character is an old person. I love old people. Hello, Gran. Okay, everyone get your grandmother's voice. Everyone, you just get a little feeble sounding like you've been living a long, wise life, and you say the power verse on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. Psalm 46:1. Acting, thank you. That was fantastic. Good job, boys and girls. But I must be going. I think my grandmother is making meatloaf tonight. And exit. Stage left, but I always forget where that is. My left is this way, so I'm going to go with this. Goodbye.
All right, let's say our power verse all together. God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. Psalm 46:1. Today we learned from the story of Noah and his family. It wasn't easy, but Noah and his family obeyed God in the middle of a horrible storm. When they obeyed, they saw God's amazing power at work, and they were saved from the storm. Well, just like Noah, we need to trust God and know that He is always there to protect us, and He's just a prayer away, and He's ready to help us in times of trouble. Maybe not in a way you might expect, but trust that God will be there in your troubled times. So let's say that verse one more time. God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. Psalm 46:1.
Rewind!
All right, guys, were you paying attention? Time to wrap things up with our rewind questions. Question 1, what you got to know today? The storm is coming. I won't fear, or God will protect me in the middle of the storm. That's right, God will protect me in the middle of the storm. Question 2, how many of each animal did God send to the ark? 1, 2, or 3? Yes, that's right, 2. You probably knew that one, right? Question 3, did Noah have to go catch all the animals? Yes or no? Nope, God brought them to him, right? Question 4, how many days and nights did it rain? 40, 70, or 99? Do you remember? Yep, 40 days and nights. Question 5, true or false? Noah disobeyed God. False, he obeyed God. Question 6, according to our lesson today, when I obey God, I find nothing, help, or safety. Safety, yeah. Question 7, according to our lesson today, when I obey God, I experience miracles, craziness, or tap dancing. That's right, miracles. We can see miracles. Question 8, according to our lesson today, God is my something and shelter from the storm. Lantern, refuge, or doctor. That's right, refuge. That means a safe place. And question 9, true or false? Obeying God is never worth it. False. It is always worth it. That's right. And question 10, where was our power verse found? Psalm 46:1, James 1:6, or Job 2:6? That's right, Psalm 46:1. Why don't you say that with me again? God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. Psalm 46:1. Thanks again for joining us today. We hope that you had fun, and we hope to see you back again next week. Bye.